I don't think so.
Take a seat. We would be honored if you would join us.
It's time to commence episode 66. You're all gonna die. All right, okay. It's not that serious. All right, let's dial it back a little bit. But yeah, we're talking Order 66, all episode. Of course, there will be tangents. We'll go here, we'll go there, but it's all gonna be Star Wars. You know what we do here. Unless you don't, because it's your first time. In which case, I'm Tyler Bodkins. I've been in this fight since I was 8 years old. With me, he loves democracy. It's Cameron Porter.
Good evening.
Cameron, are you going to relinquish your emergency powers as soon as this conflict is resolved?
Yeah.
Cameron is ready to execute all the orders. The final order, what was it?
First order, final order.
All of the orders. We're going to execute them all. No, we're like, hey, what are we talking about for the 66th episode? Now, on one hand, we want to talk about that John Williams documentary. On the other hand, it's we only get one episode 66. I don't know what to say. It's the only one we get. Kind of feels like if we don't do it now, we're never going to do it.
We'll never get the chance.
We have to do episode 66 about Order 66. It feels like the Force is compelling us. I don't know. Cameron, you were telling me about, and I haven't seen it. Thanks for not sending it to me. You were telling me about this video that supercut like all of the Order 66 scenes from all of canon.
Yep.
Break it down for me. What's going on?
In preparation of this episode, I didn't have as much time to kind of go through and watch Revenge of the Sith, and then a couple episodes of Clone Wars, a couple episodes of Bad Batch, and I knew that someone out there certainly had cut up all of the episode 60 or Order 66
Star Wars fans
scenes.
are just crazy like that, right? You just know.
Yeah, maybe we'll link it in the episode or something. It was like 47 minutes long, and it cut all of the. It even included like some draft stuff that never made it into the movies. Yeah, like some of those real choppy, blocky looking digital renders of like characters and stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, it pulled in stuff from video games and movies and TV shows and kind of ran it all together. Now I did watch the last 2 episodes of season 7 Clone Wars in preparation.
Well, let me tell you this, man. You did a lot more preparation than I did. I've been a little busy lately. I've got another podcast. Maybe I'll plug it later, but I've been recording episodes all the time. And I got to admit, I've not been watching Star Wars, but I'm glad to hear that you have been. Yeah. You got us covered. So the last 2 episodes, so Siege of Mandalore, what made you just felt like dipping your toes in there?
Well, no, the 2 episodes of the episodes of Order 66 like happening. I think it was at the end of the Siege of Mandalore, maybe.
Yeah. It's the last 2 episodes of that arc.
Yeah. No, I just remembered. I remembered how much I liked those episodes because like there was very little music. The intros were completely silent. Like they definitely set the mood really well for those 2 episodes to be as like somber as they were.
Yeah.
So I started there, and I got everything I could have wanted. I forgot Maul was so heavily involved in those last 2 episodes.
In it, yeah.
Which is crazy to think about. Like here we have Darth Maul. Last time we saw him live action was Phantom Menace, and then here we are right at like episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, and Maul is still just as alive as ever.
Yeah.
It's
wild to think, and that's one of the things maybe we can just get into it right here at the front before we sort of work our way down the list. It's wild to think when you were watching episode 3 as a kid. You know, I was 16 when it came out. I know you were probably 8 or 9 when you watched it for the first time. I would think. Is that about right?
Nope, I wasn't allowed to. when it came out.
Oh, that's right, because it was PG-13.
That's right.
It was pretty rough.
We follow the rules.
So you waited till you were 13?
I had to, or maybe 12 or 11.
So
or
had you
something.
seen everything else except for that one?
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't want to talk about it. I deal with this a lot. I talk about this with my therapist all the time.
Well, I mean, to be fair, that last scene is rough.
It's rough.
It's a rough scene, and I mean, I know if I was showing, I have a nephew who's like 10, and if I was showing him Revenge of the Sith, I'd be like, "Hey, bro, I need you to look down for a few minutes because it's rough." And I mean, maybe I'm soft, whatever. I don't care. I get it. That's all I'm saying. I get it. But all right, so it's crazy to think about when you're watching that Darth Maul is still alive.
Yep.
There's so many things that just get recontextualized over the years. Not only that, but like, I need to add something to my list. But not only that, Grogu. Grogu's running around.
Yep.
With the guy from the game show, Kelleran Beck.
Yep. Kanan Jarrus is running around.
Absolutely. It's like all these people running around, and it's just wild to think that after so many years, we have all of these different points of views. And like on one hand, I've heard some people sort of complain like, "Oh my God, how many times are we going to get Order 66?" But I mean, it's a very pivotal moment in Star Wars history. I can think of very few that are as pivotal. Maybe the Battle of Yavin, which is the way that they determine the time of the universe. So at least in our real world. So I don't know. To me, it really makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, Order 66 was so dark and mysterious and ominous. I like the little cuts of it that we get sprinkled in Star Wars here and there. I mean, it's not something they're ever going to give us like a full spectrum. Here's Anakin slaying children for like 45 minutes.
They gave us a bit of that in Obi-Wan.
It's just such a dark like time in Star Wars. I remember when I first saw that scene, just like how mind blown I was. I was like, holy cow, I'm watching clones just like kill all these Jedi just
crazy.
Ruthlessly. And then Anakin, to see him go in the younglings room, and it's just such a scary, horrific kind of like scene. So when we get little like glimpses of it and other stuff, it kind of sobers you up real fast. But I like it.
Yeah, it's strange because on one hand, I like that it sort of anchors you right in the middle of episode 3. Like anytime you see it in any other, Star Wars media. On the other hand, it is, like you said, it's super dark.
Yeah.
Super depressing. It's probably one of the most depressing things in Star Wars. And like, no matter how quick it is or how, some of these, as we get into them, some of the perspectives are less intense than others.
Yeah.
But it always kind of brings up this feeling of like, no.
Panic.
Like, it's that too. Yeah, it's just like, man, this is the moment that they really wiped it out, man.
Well, it's like when you watch a TV show or a movie or anything, when everything goes wrong or that character that you really, really love, like, dies.
Yep.
And in my brain, like when I watch scenes like that are really pivotal for me, I go immediately back to like how far back the one thing could have been done differently to avoid it. So it's always like every time I watch Order 66, I'm like, man, this stretches so far back to like the programming of the clones to begin with. Like what could we have done to like make sure this didn't happen?
Well, that's a great point because it makes me think of that Fives arc in season 6 of Clone Wars.
Yep.
Where I think I'm getting that right, that it's Fives.
Yeah.
It feels like that was definitely the giant red flag that was being waved, but I mean, in perfect maniacal Palpatine, fashion. I mean, he was able to shut it down pretty quick. So
that scene was in that video I watched as well. I mean, they
really?
They put full
the one I'm talking about, the 5's art.
Where he
cool.
defaults to Order 66 and
Did that kind of kick it off?
Yeah, I think so.
I gotta watch this thing you're talking about.
Yeah. So it's great. I'll send it to you afterwards. But yeah, for those who haven't watched the Clone Wars, there's an episode. I don't even know what season it is, but there's an episode where a clone accidentally. What?
No, I was just throat. Sorry.
I thought you were correcting me.
No,
I was like, wait.
I mean, I might.
I think I had it right.
Keep going.
A clone defaults and kills a Jedi, faults or.
Yeah,
how was it?
Is that different than the 5's art? I'm gonna kind of look it up, but yeah.
No, they do call in Order 66 to him specifically, right? Wasn't it? It was like a tester.
No, I don't think so. I think it was a chip malfunction.
Yeah,
and I think it was 5's, and I think that I can't remember if he actually killed a Jedi.
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
Yeah, there were 2 sister Jedis that he was fighting alongside of, and he just turned and just blasted one.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been. I'm pretty sure it would have been that 5's arc, which is season 6, but we could be wrong. Maybe write us in. Maybe send a little voice message over to starwarsafterparty@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Maybe you correct us, or maybe you just want to say, hey, maybe you just want to talk about how excited you are for Skeleton Crew. Maybe you just want to tell Cameron that he has a great mustache and terrible taste in beer. Maybe. I don't know. You can do it, though. All right, back to Order 66.
Well, I mean, yeah, that was just such a wild episode to watch, knowing what happens and how far, before that it was. And they were questioning him, what went wrong? What happened? All he could say was over and over, just good soldiers follow orders. Good soldiers follow orders.
Yeah.
And then he lunges at the other sister, gnashing his teeth at her. So it was crazy to see that little crack in the plan there.
Yeah. And Palpatine was not too happy about that, I do not believe.
No.
So I guess let's just start going through each bit of media, we'll call it, and we'll talk about Order 66 and what we see. Of course, we're starting with episode 3.
Mm-hmm. Well,
go ahead.
I was going to say, for anyone who doesn't know.
Okay.
About what Order 66 is.
Oh! And they're listening to a Star Wars podcast? All right, let's catch them up, Cameron.
Just in case. Just quickly.
Go ahead. Give it to them.
When the clone troopers were all commissioned, they were built in with specific... this was the one specific order that was built in that nobody knew about.
Right.
It was like a doomsday button of sorts, to where once they heard the words Order 66, they knew to turn on the Jedi and
could you imagine that if they're
them.
just... Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
You just shouted out, or you said that. Could you imagine, remember that little diner that Dex worked in?
Mm-hmm.
You want some Java Juice,
Yep.
Could you imagine if they were like, Order 66 up? I mean,
and
how
there's 2
terrible
clones
would
sitting
that
in
be?
there? Yeah.
And they just crush Obi-Wan right there, right at Dex's diner.
Maybe that would have been good. It would have alerted, and the whole thing could have been avoided.
Maybe.
But,
I mean, you might be right about that. Perhaps it would have been better for the galaxy if Obi-Wan would have got cut down sipping on some Java Juice. Man, that's wild. All right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Order 66, deep programming that comes down to a chip put in each and that chip, did the chip contain, did we ever really get the full answer? Did the chip contain Order 66, or was the chip what was responsible for making the clones more controllable? Because that was kind of the explanation, was that the chip was a chip to curb their behavior, because the donor, Django, he's not going to take orders from anybody. And so that chip allows them to be more controlled. I guess it was just kind of like a false flag, where actually, that's what it does, but it also allows for these crazy orders like what we got here to come to fruition. So
I'm not sure. I always understood it as it being like a voice command that just triggered them in a way, but
I don't know what it is exactly, because it's also like in the chip must have then been like all of the, I don't know. It's like all of the, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not a military guy. Not the procedures or the parameters, but the objectives and the protocol of how to do it, I guess. It's like it's not like they just heard Order 66 and began killing everybody. I mean, they knew to target Jedi and Force users. So I don't know. All right. So episode 3, we see Palpatine say execute Order 66. There's a few things that happen. First off, Anakin, let's talk about that. It's probably the most iconic. Anakin leading his, legion of clone troopers. The
501st.
Half of the 501st, right?
Yeah,
because they broke off to go to Ahsoka.
Yep, 332nd.
And there we go. Cameron knows. Dude, so much. I'm recording our our bonus episodes that we do over there on the Patreon, which you can have access to along with the Discord for $3 a month. Patreon.com/StarWarsAfterparty. I'm not going to pitch you too hard. I'm just saying we're having fun. That's it. We're having fun. All right. But whenever he's leading them, what I meant to say was, Cameron, I'm often perplexed by the names of ships and droid types, and I'm always like, Cameron, where's Cameron? And now I feel like I have you because I would not have known the 332nd. You got it. But that's probably the most iconic. Let's start there.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts when you see Anakin Skywalker with the hood on, walking into the Jedi Temple?
My first thought, what bothered me so much about it was like how quick of a turn it was for him. Like it felt like within a 24. I mean, we know from watching the Clone Wars that like it was a very slow, like very long time descent of his to the dark side completely. But in episode 3, he flipped so quick. Mace Windu is Palpatine. It's like kneeling to him and saying that I will like obey your teachings. And then it was right then and there back to the Jedi Temple, killing children. Immediately, yeah.
I went straight. Well, I mean, he's done it before technically, but you know what I mean. It's just like straight to killing kids, man. Yeah, that's always my least favorite part of Revenge of the Sith, when Anakin does what he does. Just him kneeling down in front of Palpatine with tears and everything. It's rough, man. I don't like to see it. And there's that, of course, to me, forever immortalized, Master Skywalker, what should we do? Like, come on.
And then he ignites the lightsaber. And I always notice how that kid like jolts back. It's like, just
terrible.
Terrorizing.
I feel like for years, though, I was able to not see it quite so vividly in my imagination, but Obi-Wan Kenobi season 1 kind of, put that to rest. Now I literally can just see him just walking up to kids and murdering them in like first person view. It's pretty rough. We'll get to that. That's probably the biggest thing, but what are some other tragic deaths or interesting Order 66 things that stick out to you in Obi-Wan? Episode 3.
Always Ayla Secura dying. Was a bad one.
That's a bad one.
On
Felucia,
yeah. Because they turn on her so quick, and then as the camera like pans out and up, they're still just like blasting her. It's like, come on, like she's dead. That one was a tough one, and I
hate Plo Koon.
Those are the two that I had.
Plo Koon going down is rough.
Yep.
You just think of him saying "Little Soka."
Oh
man, come on. What about Ki-Adi-Mundi? How bummed are you about that one? He's like, come on!
That one.
He turns around. He's like, come on, you idiots! Like, this Ki-Adi-Mundi. That's kind of the way he's like looking at him, like, what? What's wrong with y'all?
Despite your disdain for him, that one does suck because of how he just like realizes that he's there by himself, and then the Galactic Marines are right there, just ready to.
Yeah, you're right. Each one of these scenes sort of conveys different emotions. Like, when I think of Ayla Secura's, it feels a little more like helpless. When you look at Plo Koon's, like him crashing down, it feels almost like a bit more inevitable in the sense of like, you're not gonna be able to shake all these guys, And then something like Ki-Adi-Mundi, it's like betrayal. Like it's different. Like each each shot conveys something new.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's the master weaving his story, I suppose.
Yeah.
But it's such a bummer. One scene I think of that's kind of a bummer, but also kind of cool would be Yoda.
Mm-hmm.
The way he cuts the flip and cuts the heads off.
I wrote that one down too. Yeah.
Yeah, talk to me about it.
Commander Gree when he walks
How do you
up.
know that?
Because when I was
know these things?
when I was growing up, I was obsessed with clone troopers and action figures. So a lot of them: Cody, Rex, Blythe, Gree. I can't remember what. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole.
Did Cameron
But
have a social life as a young Star Wars loving child?
that's correct.
Well, didn't mean to play that one.
Dang.
Sorry, Gager's not here yet. We didn't want to play that.
Yeah, Commander Gree. Yeah, because that's just a sad one because Yoda, like, he kind of collapses a little bit, and he knows something's up, and then Gree stands behind him, he does a backflip, and
Yeah.
what does Michael Scott say? Their kappas were dictated.
Okay. Yoda, another unsuccessful Order 66 attempt would be Obi-Wan and Commander Cody,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And that one, all I hear is the animal. I'm not even going to try to do the sound, but I just hear that animal kind of doing its sound and falling down, and Obi-Wan going into the water.
Yep.
Like, yeah, I'm realizing now how depressing this episode is going to be. We're 22 minutes in, and I'm like, has it almost been an hour? All right, so. Well, I guess Pro Tools heard me complaining because as soon as I said it's almost been an hour, no lie, it just crashed. So, anyways, we're right back in it. What were we saying, Cameron? I know we went a couple seconds past, but we were talking about episode 3, deleted scene.
Yeah,
Please,
yeah.
tell me about this deleted scene. I know nothing about it.
This one was. I thought this one was really cool. It was Tamora Morrison. I think it was kind of animated or CGI'd, but it was him like playing the part. But it was Tamora Morrison playing the part of a clone in Jedi robes with like 6 others around him, also in Jedi robes.
Okay.
And they're standing there with Yoda and Obi-Wan. And he says something along the lines of, "I think you're safe, Master Yoda. I think we've eliminated all the threats." Or something like that. And then all of a sudden, obviously Yoda and Obi-Wan sense them and kill them. And Obi-Wan says something like, clone troopers would never make good Jedi or something like that. Like essentially the clones had dressed up as Jedi to try to trick Yoda and Obi-Wan to get them, vulnerable. And
I can kind of see why that scene got cut.
yeah.
It's kind of it's a little far-fetched.
It's a little far-fetched to think that clone troopers would think
it's almost
to be
like Scooby-Doo. Like it's we got come on.
Yeah.
I can see why it got cut.
Yeah,
I
that
am
makes
gonna.
sense.
Was that in the supercut you were talking about? I'm gonna watch this thing,
Yeah, it was interesting.
and then, I'm gonna go cry for hours.
Yeah.
It really is such a depressing subject. All right, let's keep going. All right, so that does it for episode 3. You had mentioned earlier in our episode, we're trying to go in chronological order. So let's if we're doing that, I think the first one actually is Jedi Fallen Order, if I'm not mistaken. So Jedi Fallen Order, for those who haven't played the game, follows a young Jedi Padawan. Some time has passed. He's now, 18, 20 years old, named Cal Kestis. And Cal escaped the Purge. And during the game, he sort of begins his journey back to fighting against the Empire. And there is a flashback scene. And it involves his old master. And sort of the mechanism of the game is that when you need to learn a new force power, you're remembering when your master was teaching it to you. And during one of those is when Order 66 happens. And so you're watching this, it was kind of a weird and trippy experience. You're watching this character who you've been playing as for, at this point, hours into the game. You're watching him relive his master being killed during Order 66. So it's a bit of a wild experience, I would say. I wasn't expecting it. I didn't go into the game thinking I'm going to see Order 66. And at that time, if I'm not mistaken, I'll pull out and look at the timelines because I just can't remember which came first, Jedi Fallen Order or the Clone Wars Season 7. I feel like the first Jedi Fallen Order game came out in like 2019 though, so it would have been first.
Yeah,
I feel
because I bought an Xbox for the first time in like years right before COVID. And I got the Jedi Fallen Order special edition.
So there it is. Yeah, it would have been 2019.
Yep.
I believe that the Clone Wars was either in 2020 or 2021.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the perspective. Now, I'm not being a jerk. I'm just asking. Did you finish that game?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I did watch. They threw that scene in the supercut.
Oh, okay. Talk to me about it. You've seen it fresher.
I got to watch the whole gameplay of that scene. It was pretty crazy. Jero.
That sounds right.
Jero.
I can't remember his name.
Jero Tapal was his name.
There you go.
Master,
and he was the same race as
Zeb.
Zeb Aurelius.
It was cool. He had a double-sided blue lightsaber, which was like very unique to see.
Yeah. The only other Jedi we've seen with it is Pong Krell.
Yeah.
Which just made me think of Jordan in the Discord because he talked about skipping those episodes.
Oh yeah.
And I get it, but also like those are some pretty intense episodes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch them when
they can be kind of painful to get through sometimes. So I felt
just because of how the clones are treated.
Mm-hmm.
And so Jordan, this goes out to you too. Maybe tag me in the Discord, man. I feel like it's more about just the feelings than the quality of the episodes.
Oh, absolutely.
I feel like when Jordan said that he was skipping them, I was like, that's a great arc, but I could see how actually you might want to skip it because it's just, it's emotionally draining to watch a Jedi killing clones and sending them to their death. So Jordan, let me know what it is for you, man.
I'll make my second The Office reference on this episode today and saying that like when Jim and Pam are going through like the worst of their relationship in the show.
Yeah.
I've always skipped over those episodes. I've rewatched that show. It's been a while since I've done a rewatch, but I used to watch The Office just over and over on replay. But when it would get to those, and it wasn't because the episodes were bad.
Right.
It was just such a like painful
you don't want to feel
arc
you don't want to feel those feelings. I get it.
I miss out on a lot of
I'm wanting to skip this whole podcast episode at this point. Like I realized 20 minutes in how terrible of an idea it was because it's so depressing.
It's just
I thought we were having fun on this show. What happened?
I'm having fun. I told you. I mean, I love dark Star Wars.
All right. I'm gonna try to have a more positive attitude. It's probably because you can hear it in my throat, little congested. Apologies. Okay. So the next thing that happens, again, we're going in. You can't go in chronological order for the Star Wars universe. It all happened at the same time.
Yeah.
But our chronological order. Clone Wars Season 7. We were talking about at the beginning of the episode.
Yep.
Walk us through it some.
Clone Wars Season 7 we're following Ahsoka after her like side quests kind of era, and she's back with Rex. She's not a Jedi.
Right.
In fact, Mace Windu very rudely puts her in her place in a transmission.
Civilian.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start calling people. They're like, I'm a Star Wars fan. What was the name of that one character again? Oh yeah, Obi-Wan. I'm gonna start calling those kinds of Star Wars fans civilians. That's what I'm gonna do. It's gonna be like this like deep cut. If you know, you know.
Yeah.
Civilians.
Why is that an insult?
Well, you just don't know.
You expose yourself. Yeah.
All right. So she's not a Jedi.
Yeah, not a Jedi, but she's with Rex on a Venator.
Yeah.
I can't remember what got her there. I can't remember.
Oh, I can give you the context here because I've seen this arc 100 times.
Yeah.
Essentially, at the end of the Ahsoka arc, with what's their names?
The sisters.
The Martez sisters. Lady Bo-Katan meets up with Ahsoka and lets her know that there's some stuff going on with Mandalore and it involves Maul and that she needs help, and that's where ultimately she ends up going there for, is to take on Maul. Well, she goes to the Jedi Council to inform them, and then she kind of, because the Jedi Order has to go rescue Palpatine now, Ahsoka is sent to take care of the issue on almost like a deputized, you're not a Jedi, but you can kind of take all these troopers and go do your thing. So yeah, and that's how she gets there, and ultimately where she is whenever Order 66 goes down.
They're transporting Maul.
They're transporting Maul.
Yeah.
And Maul actually tried to warn her about Anakin and all the stuff that was coming with Palpatine, and Ahsoka just didn't believe it.
Yeah.
Could you imagine?
I know. But
Ahsoka had known.
I know. But anyways, Rex turns on her, and everybody else does, and she like knocks him out and uses some astromech droids to kind of help her navigate around the ship that ends up crash landing. But or does it? Yeah.
Yeah, it does. You're absolutely right. It does end up crash landing because basically it was sabotaged by Maul, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a while since I watched the episodes. And yeah, they were going down. And a big part of sort of that final climactic battle is, Ahsoka refusing to kill any clones.
Yep. Yeah.
Which is wild.
After being able to get Rex into a I don't know, an MRI looking machine.
Oh, right,
to have his chip removed.
His chip, yeah.
So that he wouldn't be like victim to Order 66. But yeah, there's that conversation between the two of them where she says, they may die, but it won't be because I was the one killing them. That.
Something along those lines. So that's another pretty rough one. I think I talked about this on the show before, but for anybody who hadn't heard, for me, this is probably, behind episode 3, the most important or critical or crucial point of view. I feel like Ahsoka and Rex both. I mean, when you think about anyone who wasn't in Revenge of the Sith, so we're talking Obi-Wan, Anakin, Yoda, these main characters, Ahsoka's kind of the next in line in terms of like who we know as an audience that would be affected. It's not Luke Skywalker. He wasn't born yet. It's not Mace Windu. He's already dead. It wasn't Qui-Gon. It was like Ahsoka. She's kind of, and I would say then also Rex from all the times that we've had him in the Clone Wars. So it was a very crucial thing to see in the sense of if there was anybody that you sort of know and you were like, I would love to see their point of view, Ahsoka had to be towards the top of the list.
Yeah.
That said, that's an interesting question. Who would you like to see Order 66 through the point of view of that we haven't yet?
I thought you were going to ask me who I would like to see killed in Order 66 that we didn't see.
Nope, I wasn't going to go that far.
Yeah. Whose perspective?
I'm going to think about it too, as you are. I'm going to kind of talk out loud a little bit. I mean, as far as the Jedi go, there's not that many Jedi left, in the words of Ahsoka Tano. I mean, I don't know who we could have seen that is like a main character. Oh, I mean, I got mine. Do you want me to wait until you have yours?
No, you go ahead.
Quinlan Voss would be an interesting one. Because Quinlan's still out there.
Yeah.
Even at the time of Obi-Wan Kenobi 8 years later. So we know Quinlan survives. And now, dude, now that I say it, I'm trying to remember. No, Dark Disciple takes place before episode 3. No. So yeah, we don't know Quinlan's point of view. That to me has got to be the top.
Yeah.
Quinlan Voss. That's whose point of view I want to see it.
I can't think of anybody, honestly.
It's toff.
Yeah.
It's real
There's
tough.
There's not a whole lot of characters left.
Some quick honorable mentions. Well, like maybe I would say Bo-Katan, but she wasn't around any Jedi at that point.
Jocasta Nu, maybe?
Yeah. Okay, so thanks for bringing up Jocasta Nu.
Yeah.
I was thinking about her earlier today.
As one does. Just sitting
When I
around
explain the context,
thinking
it
about
makes a
the
little
old
bit-
librarian
Come
at
on,
the
man.
in the
Let me
archives.
explain. It's not that crazy. I was thinking about this episode that we were doing. I was doing my due diligence
Okay,
as a
all right.
professional Star Wars podcaster who honestly didn't really do that much preparation other than write down a list of all the times I could think of Order 66, which is, sometimes it seems like the Force knows one of us is going to be really prepared and the other is going to be like,
Yeah.
I'm just hanging out having fun tonight.
I was thinking about that when we got started. I was like, I don't usually prepare other than watching whatever we're talking about beforehand. And sometimes even that is like kind of footnoted. But tonight,
You're the guy.
I was ready. And there have been other times. Yeah. So
Again, it's like the Force is
we
like
didn't
guiding
plan.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, I'm trying to think. What were we even talking about before I said that? Oh,
Jocasta
Jocasta
Nu,
Nu.
yeah.
Thank you.
Your girl.
So we do get her point of view in terms of how she ultimately met her demise.
Correct.
And are you familiar with this? The Charles Soule Darth Vader run? Dude.
Yeah.
If you haven't read it, have I not given you that?
Is
Don't you have, what were you going to say?
Is it part of the like 2020 Darth Vader?
No.
This is a different one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
No, I don't know anything about this.
I'm holding a free. Sometimes for certain, holidays, they'll shoot out some free comic books. This was like the Halloween one, and it's a reprint of Age of Resistance. It was like a mini series that followed a few different characters, and it's the Kylo Ren one. But after you read the Kylo Ren trade paperback, I think you got that still.
Yep.
Let me get you on Darth Vader. That should be a good reason for you to finish the Kylo Ren one.
Okay.
Also, because Charles Soule is bringing Kylo Ren back, so there's probably going to be some tie in there.
Yeah.
That said, in the 2017, I still got to message Charles Soule. Come on, Charles, come talk to us. In the 2017 Charles Soule run of Darth Vader, one of the early arcs is Vader hunting down Jocasta Nu.
Oh, wow.
With Inquisitors.
What?
Yeah, so it's like this. It's actually from that run right there.
This one?
Yes, I believe so. That is the first Grand Inquisitor. And yeah, I want to say the Inquisitors are present. So that's definitely from that run. It might be that issue. It could be a different one. I'm not sure. So we do see, I mean, she was in hiding. I'm trying to remember how much backstory maybe there was. I can't remember how they found her or anything like that. But yeah, she definitely went up against Darth Vader, which is wild to think about. Jocasta Nu and Darth Vader.
Yeah, no kidding.
Did, spoiler alert, exactly how you think it would. So we do get Jocasta Nu's point of view from a certain point of view.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right. So that's pretty much it for the Clone Wars, right? I mean, yeah, we talked about Ahsoka. All right, so the next, as far as I can tell, and there's going to be an asterisk here, and we're going to talk about it. The next time that this happens is Bad Batch. Bad Batch, very first episode. Wasn't quite expecting this personally.
No.
I don't know about you. It's hard to kind of go back and think of, oh man, how did I feel during season 1 and back in probably like 2020 or something. I don't really remember it that well. Meaning my first viewing experience, other than loving it because it was like an hour of great Star Wars. But we get the view of a young Kanan as Order 66 comes down. Cameron, what of this? Maybe you just watch it. Maybe there's some things that are sticking out. Get us started on that for a sec.
Yeah, I mean, this is a cool perspective to see it from the eyes of a like scared Padawan,
Right.
who watches his master get killed by troopers that he trusted in.
Right.
Running off into the forest, chased by the Bad Batch, who have faulty chips because they weren't subject to Order 66, except for Crosshair. So that episode set up so much stuff. I mean, we get Kanan as a kid before, everything in Rebels.
Sounding just like a 40-year-old Freddie Prinze.
Exactly. Yeah.
But, whatever. That's,
Yeah.
You can't win them all, Lucasfilm Animation.
So it sets that up. It sets the Bad Batch up as like the good guys.
Yeah.
And it sets Crosshair up for his demise, because We get to see the Bad Batch chasing a scared Padawan who just watched his master get killed by other clones.
Yep.
Chasing him down, trying to like find him to keep him safe. And then as they're trying to do that, Crosshairs just starts shooting.
Yeah.
And scaring him off more to the point where we don't. He's gone.
Yeah, it scared him so much that when we see him 15 years later, he still hates clones and is absolutely just, I feel like Kanan's story in Rebels is pretty much he was traumatized, and him kind of coming to grips with all that and accepting it was his full arc. But yeah, man, it definitely messed with him, and it was wild to see. I wasn't expecting to see Kanan Jarrus in Bad Batch.
No, me neither.
We do see a dead. I can't remember if it was Shakti or maybe not. Maybe it's just a different kind of Jedi. But we do see when they get back on the ship, someone being carried under, some robes, blanket, something, and their hand kind of pops out and the lightsaber falls. Like, that was a dark shot, man.
Yeah.
That was a dark shot, and just that whole sort of the way the Bad Batch is kind of like, what's going, because they were not feeling the same thing that everybody else was feeling.
Yeah.
It was kind of a weird and interesting vibe. It was strange because you just kind of see how dark everything is around them, and they're reacting to it the way that we would be reacting to it, which I think is an interesting sort of thing that Bad Batch does that I don't think any of the other shows have done. Because that's how it would be for us. We'd be like, what's going on here? Why is everyone acting so strange? Is that a dead Jedi?
Yeah.
What is, what was going on with Crosshair shooting at that kid? Like, some stuff is really off here.
And they're the ones that are like kind of trying to fly under the radar a little bit. And so obviously Crosshair is also looking at them like, what's the deal with you guys? Because I thought we were supposed to follow orders. Yeah.
Yep. So there's definitely some cool moments in this episode. Now, let's talk about it. It kind of contradicts this one a little bit. I'm pointing, for those who aren't watching on YouTube, to Kanan, the Last Padawan, written by, I want to say he was a Rebels writer. I want to say his first name is Greg Weisman. Anyways, this is the first issue here. I say it's the first appearance of Kanan and the whole Rebels crew. Some comic book collectors want to deny that, but I can win that debate any day of the week. It changes Kanan's story for sure. He's not technically on the run from the Bad Batch in this, this comic that came out 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Yeah.
But what I would say is that I feel like it fits, because have you read it, Cameron? Okay, yeah. It's been a while since I've read it, but what I will say is like the way the death feels of his master. Where's she at? I'm trying to see her, and the glare is happening. There she is. What's her name again? Beppa Dalaba or something like that.
I can't remember.
Something like that. He was Mace Windu's apprentice. And actually in that book that just came out earlier this year, I think it's called The Living Force. That book showed Depa Billaba talking to Mace Windu at the end, where she's like, I'm considering taking on a Jedi. And of course, a Padawan rather. And of course that is Kanan. So yeah, it's also interesting as I say all that out loud to think that there's a direct line from Mace Windu down to Ezra Bridger.
Yeah.
That's wild.
That is crazy.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I had not considered that until this moment. That feels like something no one talks about. You heard it here first. Maybe. I'll Google it later. Anyways, so it kind of honors it. I even want to say, and I can't remember if it's the exact wording or if it was just kind of the vibe of what she said, but I even want to say that she tells him, like, run. Like, because that's just it. And that's the thing that makes what happened in the Bad Batch so great, is that that's exactly what Kanan would then go do, is run for the rest of his life until he sits down in front of the Bindu and gets a little wisdom. It took a little while. But anyways, I just wanted to acknowledge that comic.
Yeah.
It is different, and the way that I understand the way that Dave Filoni, and honestly, I think George Lucas for that matter, the way that they view canon is just like the screen is on top of everything else. And as much as I love reading comics, the truth is, like, if Dave Filoni or whoever gets an idea, it'll trump the comics.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so just be warned, because we're always telling everybody, like, yo, these are canon, check them out, and they're fun. But you never know what could be overwritten just like that, just so we're clear. But it's not something I'm mad about.
No.
There were definitely people who were frustrated when it happened. And I understand, because again, we spend lots of time and we spend lots of money on these things, the comic books, and so it's not fun when you spend what could amount to thousands of dollars after hundreds of issues. Yeah, I mean, if you spend a lot of money and then you're told these stories aren't, I get it,
Yeah.
but I think they handled it pretty well. Again, I feel like the spirit of what happened was adhered to, and I think if you could do at least that feels more right.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts about Bad Batch or Kanan Comics or anything like that?
No, I don't think so.
Next up, Obi-Wan.
Yep.
This one's rough. To me, this is the roughest one.
Tell me why.
I mean, dude, I just watched the series, and I mean, you literally see a very convincing looking Hayden Christensen, Anakin Skywalker, just plunging a lightsaber into a 10-year-old from the 10-year-old's point of view. It's pretty dark.
Yeah.
It's rough. There's a lot of like dead bodies throughout, and there's something about those shots that are just, to me, so much worse than episode 3. I could be wrong. It just, I don't know. It struck me as I was watching it. I was like, this is a bit much, but
Yeah.
it's just my opinion. It's just,
They leaned really heavily into that, especially with a lot of the Reva flashbacks too.
and I will say those are more integral. Like the poetic nature of Darth Vader putting it through her stomach, of Anakin doing it. Like, yeah, it's poetic. I get it, but it shows that, like, when Anakin says, "You thought that I didn't remember you, Padawan," it shows that, like, he's like, "Oh no, I remember it." I will say this: this is a great writing. Anakin Skywalker remembers and still thinks about himself plunging a lightsaber into a child.
Yeah.
And when you think about that hate that he carries, he taps into these things.
Oh, yeah.
That's why he's so powerful with the dark
Right.
side, because he literally meditates on the fact that he murdered a young child. Great writing, terrible to watch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Much like this episode, I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Hope you're having fun. It's kind of a train wreck. I don't know, man. I'm not really vibing with all the kids being killed.
I loved how poetic that was when he did,
It really
when he
is.
killed her, like in Obi-Wan, and he said that. It just,
You said killed her, but stabbed her.
well, yeah.
Because apparently you can get stabbed in the stomach so many times in Star Wars, and still, I mean, this is look, when people used to complain about it with Qui-Gon, and who was the first person in Disney canon to get stabbed in the stomach? Probably Kylo Ren or Rey or something.
Yeah.
Somebody
Or no,
like that.
Han Solo.
Oh yeah, well, he died. I mean,
yeah.
that one made sense, but I think it was Kylo Ren. I think Daisy Ridley stabs him, but it makes sense because she force heals him. But whatever, I think she does that. I could be wrong. It's been a while since I've watched episode 9. Dude, we're gonna have to watch episode 9.
I know.
I can't. It's the one movie where I'm like, I think this happened.
Yeah.
We
Yeah, we'll
can't
watch
have encyclopedic knowledge of every other Star Wars movie and then be like, oh, I can't remember what happens in this episode. Come on, we have to watch it. The question is when and
Yeah.
why.
Why is always the question.
Sorry. But okay. Let's talk about what else we have. We got Obi-Wan,
Mandalorian.
Mando,
Yep. Grogu flashbacks.
Grogu flashbacks.
Yep.
Season 3. Tell me about it.
These were. This is probably one of my favorite Order 66 flashbacks, just for the sake of seeing Keller and Beck go crazy
Right.
on those clone troopers outside as he's about to transport Grogu.
Who did you think was coming up that elevator shaft?
I couldn't tell you, honestly.
Was there any bit of you that thought it could be like? Because I feel like when it was
I thought maybe Obi-Wan.
when it was happening, I was excited.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is going to be wild.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, this is going to be something. It's not just going to be a random Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
It was literally probably the best thing that they could have done.
Yeah.
Maybe this is like, maybe I'm being a little hyperbolic, but I don't think so. In the sense of, if it would have been someone you really, really knew, like an Obi-Wan. Really?
Yeah.
Like, really? And I don't think, first off,
It defies a lot of logic.
Yeah, because he was already getting shot at by Cody.
Yeah.
But I will say, for it to have been like, this is going to be something crazy, and then for Jar Jar Binks to stand in front of me, I mean, and I don't know if everyone had this experience, but I at least knew that he was playing a Jedi character on the game show. So I was like, wow. Like, I was like, they brought this game show Jedi into canon.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't remember his name or anything like that because I didn't actually watch the show. But
remember. Yeah,
it's Keller and Beck. I mean, I know it now, but
his name starts with a B, or
who?
the actor.
Ahmed Best?
Ahmed Best.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you're talking about just who the character was.
Yeah,
in
I'm
general.
saying I
yeah.
knew that he played this character, but I couldn't remember the character's name.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, I like this addition to canon.
Yep.
It also puts this really interesting idea of like, dude, I'm not going to lie. I just thought of this, and now I'm kind of, you know me, I like to put my cards on the table.
Yeah.
Difficult to see.
Just for legal
Always
purposes.
emotion is in the future. Meditate on this. I will.
It brings this very interesting idea up, which is that there's possibly more to learn about Grogu and Keller and Beck's time together. I mean, that's all on the table.
That's a good point.
We don't know whose ship that was.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it was Palpatine's ship, and therefore, I don't know, a trap. Insert the "it's a trap" meme, or
Admiral Akbar,
the Lego thing.
R.I.P.
Or if it was like Jar Jar Binks and it was genuine help. We don't know.
Mm-hmm.
We have no idea. And so that's an interesting thing. And what I just started thinking was, I mean, look, far be it for me to suggest an idea that I don't think would ever actually happen. And far be it for me to think that I know what Lucasfilm should do with all their money. But like a mini series. And when I say mini series, I'm like, dude, I don't know why they don't do stuff like, maybe it's just because production wise it's just more difficult, but it's like, give me a 3-episode mini series on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Give it to me all at one time. Make them hour-long episodes.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay if it has the look and feel and budget of a Mando or a Boba Fett. Like, it doesn't have to be $200 billion. Just like make it look cool like the shows. Get somebody cool to score it so that it sounds good.
Yeah.
I think a lot of this stuff would. By the way, I did see Mick Giacchino, who's Michael Giacchino's son, who did the score for Rogue One. His son is going to be doing the score for Skeleton Crew.
Oh, nice.
And he's doing it for the Penguin. His dad scored the Batman. And the score has been really solid.
Huh.
Like, the kid's got skill.
Somebody was actually telling me about the Penguin earlier today.
It's great. It's great. But I'm gonna get lost on way too many tangents if we go, because we still got to circle back to Mando season 3. This is wild. I apologize. But get someone cool to score it and do like a mini series of Keller and Beck and Grogu. It's starring Grogu.
Yeah.
Like, I thought we were doing this whole thing because of how popular Grogu was.
Right.
I thought that's kind of what happened after the first episode dropped. Isn't that what Disney Star Wars is all about? How popular Grogu is?
Yep.
It feels cool. Fans love Ahmed Best. Give us a very interesting, higher stake, kind of like dark in tone, like the darker moments of The Mandalorian. Give it to... Fine. I'm just going to write the whole thing. You can just do it. Rick Famuyiwa. Give that man those 3 movies.
Yeah.
He can write and direct them.
Episodes.
Yes. But they'd be almost like little short.
Yeah, I know.
have Ludwig Göransson score it,
Yep.
have Grogu in it, and just put your money in the bank.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe
I'm with you. I think that would be awesome.
Sounds like an awesome
I want to
idea.
know what they did for a little bit.
Yeah, me too. I think it would just be a very interesting perspective of a time in Grogu's life. I mean, it would be interesting to see. We might even find, because this could be cool, what if, not unlike our boy, what's his name from Jedi, Cal, the way that he, because of his trauma, sort of forgot how to do certain Jedi skills. What if we see Grogu exhibit some skill in that time that he would then forget and then rediscover later in the Mandoverse? Like, stuff like that, man.
Set it up to where it already connects. Yeah.
Connect it. It
idea.
feels good. I like that. Anyways, back to, would you greenlight it if you were...
I would.
All right, so I'm going to make you Kathleen Kennedy. Do I have your business?
As my first order of business, I will...
We're going to
greenlight this and then leave.
Yeah, it's like, I don't want to hear everybody complain about how much it sucks. I'm just going to leave now.
Yep.
Love it. So, Mando Season 3, we get this shootout. Let's talk about the action of this episode for a sec. I loved it. Mm-hmm. I thought it was great. You have any thoughts? Has it been a while since you've seen it?
It's been a while since I've seen it, yeah.
The double blades is cool.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
And the way that he kind of moved all felt great.
The fact that he picked up the second blade from another fallen Jedi.
Now that I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't remember that. Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yep.
Because
there was the last Jedi that was protecting Grogu as he got into the elevator died.
Yeah.
Fell into the elevator, and when he came up, here was Grogu in his little pram, and then dead Jedi on the floor. Kelleran Beck picked it up.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Now, that makes me wonder, though. I felt like, because they call him, like, the saber or something like that. It's like the blade. Like, I feel like he has a reputation for being a great swordsman. I think.
Maybe.
I want to say so. And, you know, that makes me wonder. I'd always just assumed that because of that's why he was so good at both. But I wonder now, is it something he trained with? Or did he just have this great affinity as being a good bladesman? Because, like, they say Mace Windu is a fantastic, duelist. Mm-hmm. Okay, they say Count Dooku is. Yeah. Have you ever seen any of them with two blades?
No.
Anakin picks it up and does a pretty good job with it, but he's the chosen one. Mm-hmm. So it makes me wonder, like, does he have that practice? Or was it just, I don't know, happenstance? He just happened to pick it up.
I think it could have gone either way. I think the happenstance with like the adrenaline, and the high stakes, or the rage of just seeing one of his, his brothers or sisters like laying there,
right,
and picking up. It was almost like a baton, like carrying, because that Jedi got Grogu to the elevator.
Yeah,
and Grogu gets out of the elevator, and then it passes on with Kelleran Beck. It could have been a little bit of a double meaning there of him physically picking up the baton to move forward.
Yeah.
I love how he took out all those clones in that scene.
Yeah, it was great. Great observations. All right. I don't know that I could take it anymore. The Order 66 thing is really it's really getting to me after we had to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, we had to. The Force told us, all right, fine. I had a good time. All right, I'll admit it. I actually had a good time. So is there anything else we can think of Order 66 wise from any of the shows? We'll recap them again real fast, or the other media. Episode 3, Clone Wars, Jedi Fallen Order, Bad Batch with the Kanan comic, Obi-Wan Season 1, Mando Season 3. I feel like that covers it, man.
I think so.
If we missed something, let us know.
Yeah.
starwarsafterparty@gmail.com. Write us in, or you can record a voice memo, send it that way. I'd love to know. Anything else, man?
I was going to mention one quick thing. Actually.
Okay.
It's interesting. I used to always think about how crazy it was that clones were able to kill Jedi so easily, seemingly.
Okay.
Somewhat.
Yeah. Right.
And I saw somebody make the point one time that Jedi had been fighting against pre-programmed battle droids for so long, not skilled fighters that were trained to be as skilled as clone troopers were.
By the way, trained by the man who was a part of a people who had been fighting the Jedi for millennia.
Correct.
And literally made everything that they do good against Jedi. And so when you make that the template, yeah, that's a great. I hadn't really.
So next time you watch it, think about that.
I guess I accidentally bumped it, but it is true. Oh wow, we're
skipping.
Okay, I didn't realize it got hit like 30 times. Apparently, it's just done. So I'll just have to take it out in post. Let's just. There we go. All right, we're gonna make it happen in post later. Let me turn this down so it doesn't mess us up. That is absolutely the worst thing I've ever heard on this podcast.
Dang.
Hopefully, well, they're not.
It's all this dark energy.
I'm going to take care of it. Yeah,
66.
it's the dark energy. Yeah. It's really getting to me. I think it's just time to stop with Order 66, and I think that my my MIDI controller over here feels exactly the same. Look, we're going to be back. We're going to be talking about some fun stuff. Maybe that John Williams doc.
Yeah.
Does that feel good?
Yeah, I think I may be able to knock that out this weekend.
Cool. Yeah. Well, I'll make it a point to watch it as well. We have no idea where we're at in the song. It feels like it's about right. So
Probably.
Until next time, Tyler out.
Cameron out.
It's all the dead Jedi babies. That's what messed it up.
This party's over.